Hey, I think we're live.
All awesome.
Already?
All
Yeah.
right. So I guess we'll do the quick intro. So for everyone who's tuning in, welcome to our Open Sourcery live stream. For now, we're basically trying this out to see how it works. We have 4 episodes of this planned monthly, and then we'll kind of evaluate after that to see how it goes and if we want to make it a regular series. And who knows, maybe we'll have some guests in the future, so it won't just be the VGV OSS team, TBD, cough, cough, Sally.
Please notice us.
Yeah. And then a little bit of background for why we're doing this. Basically, we were doing this kind of meeting internally already where we would do a show and tell weekly on the OSS team. And the idea came up of like, why not live stream this? And we were like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. There's no reason why we wouldn't live stream it. And we'll show off some of the cool things that either we've been working on or we've seen or just we want to talk about in general. And if anyone has questions along the way or wants us to talk about anything, just leave some comments down below. But yeah, did I miss anything? Anyone want to add anything?
I think that's pretty much it. Like we work in the open. The things we do are in the open. So yeah, why not just do everything publicly?
And those weekly meetings that we have already sounded something like podcast worthy. I don't know. Some really cool discussions come out of this. So I guess
it really is the like, oh, we could do this as a podcast moment.
Yeah.
But we are better than podcasts. We do live streams.
Of course, we do live streams. Yeah,
just like podcast, but you can see. I don't know how this thing.
We can share our screen. Yeah,
revolutionary.
Speaking of which, now we have to decide who wants to start this week's. Who wants to start the first official live stream?
Well, normally I'm not allowed to go first.
Yeah, usually Jochum gives like the most intricate demos and takes up like 30 minutes, and then no one wants to go after. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's whoever wants to go. Like Renan, maybe if you want to go, then since you have the CLI.
Yeah, I have the CLI. So let's start with that.
That was fresh off the press. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 stuff to show. The CLI, which is like the professional part of it, like the thing I work at VGV, and also the other thing, which is the little Wear OS game I made this weekend, and I'm currently struggling to get into the store. It's lots of hassle. Last time I published like personally at the store was 2019, and the process was totally different. And all of that, above all of that, there's also the process of being a watch Wear OS app. So there's it. But let's go first things first. I guess I'm already sharing my screen, so please monitor person.
Overlord, please.
Our crew.
Show us the screen.
Yeah, the crew. Thanks, crew. So yeah. Very Good CLI, if you don't know already, it's like a little product that we have, little command line structure, and on it, very good, we have some commands. So there is a very good update that you update the CLI itself, very good tests, you run tests in an optimized way, and you can also run tests recursively. And there is packages that's just packages get, but you can do that also recursively. And the thing I want to talk about today is the other command that we have, which is create, which is basically was an idea for a parallel to Flutter create, where you can just start with a template. It started with a Flutter app template called Very Good Core. And we were adding stuff with time, like we added a Flutter package. So if you create a Flutter package, very good, create Flutter -t Flutter package. You have a template, and there's the same for Dart package, a Flutter plugin that's already federated from the start, a Dart CLI, and the latest one we added was the Flame game. So you can already start the project with the Flame game. But we had the idea of expanding this a little bit beyond the templates and also having like some variations of those templates. I don't know. So for example, Very Good Core has lots of things. There's lots of, it has flavors, has a structure already of for architecture.
GitHub Actions or workflows.
GitHub Actions, workflows. Yeah. So we some people started asking for like a more simple template, for example. So it's like a variation of the Flutter app. Or we can add a variation or a Flutter plugin with some more opinions. I don't know. So there's all of these ideas that we can expand into. And the problem was the syntax was something like this: very good. Oops, missed my key. Very good. Create.
Oh, you have 2 R's.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not very. That's a
very.
Yeah.
Very good.
You can make an alias.
Project. Yeah, I have an alias. It's VG. The same thing, but in terms of explaining how it works. Very good. Create -t core, right? And thingy. So thingy is the name of our project. Or let's go for something more sane. My project, right? So yeah, we have this kind of stuff. But there's a problem because different templates receive different arguments. For example, the Dart CLI received the executable name, Flutter plugin, Flutter package, Dart CLI, Dart package received the publishable flag to create your project that is ready for publication on PubDev or maybe not. So that was that flag. So when you add lots of options in just one level of command, in this case, the create, you may have like some inconsistencies. So you could be creating a very good Flutter app, and when see the help, you will still see the flags and options for other templates. So it was like this kind of a problem in terms of usability of the CLI, and also the idea of creating populating the CLI with more and more and more templates would make things a little bit messy. So we changed that to not use -t or a minus template argument. So now we have subcommands. So these are the subcommands. So for now, we just go very good create Flutter app is the equivalent to the core Flutter app. And the Flutter app we have
I love the fact that he's using the tab completion, by the way, just casually.
Yeah, I was about to say
I cannot
completion.
I cannot use the very good CLI without completion anymore. I don't know. My brain doesn't work anymore without
yeah, I'm
tab.
the same way. It spoils you. Once you have it, you can't go back.
So by the way, CLI completion, another package we worked last month, but anyhow. Okay. Yeah. So we have Flutter app here, and we have application ID and org name that are applicable for Flutter apps. But for example, you don't have that on the Dart CLI. I don't know. Dart CLI. Let's go for help. Minimize help. Boom. We have a different stuff like executable name. So now creating this kind of using the create command is 100 times better now, and we can scale up to have more different stuff on the template. We're already thinking on something else in the near future. Can we talk about that? Or maybe not.
Why not? I guess. I don't even know what you're going to say. So
Cloud functions, Dart cloud functions.
Yes.
Yeah. So
coming soon, hopefully.
Coming soon, or maybe.
I mean, it is in the sprint that we have, right?
We'll have
doesn't mean that we get to it.
I mean, there's stuff sitting on sprint for weeks now. Anyhow, so yeah, this is my first demo. So we had this release. And the best thing is it's not breaking. So if you just have some kind of a script that runs the previous syntax, it will work. But for now, also very good.
Yeah.
Create
you get a warning, right?
T core. Yada. I want to say yada. Thanks. Boom. You have a warning, but still works. But yeah.
I just hope that nobody has a script that automated the very good create like that, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be niche.
Yeah. I mean, people can have scripts that they run locally and just like instead of typing, they just run them SH or something. That's possible. But
also, your shell history when you just go back quickly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But at least you now get a warning saying, "Hey."
Yeah. So it's deprecated. Don't use for new stuff. Just use the new syntax. And if you have some kind of scripts running, create for somehow.
A casual plug, a very good start there in livestream. Ooh.
Yeah.
Also, Renan, where can people go if they want help to understand the syntax? Oh, someone already. Oh, VGV already commented.
Wow, was this planned, crew? Was this planned, crew?
I did not know that was gonna happen.
So cli.vgv.dev. I'm gonna move my browser to this another screen.
You're only sharing the terminal though,
yeah. That's what I'm playing. Boom. There's documentation here for stuff. So let's get started. You have an overview. There's a warning here, so you can see the syntax changes on the resources, syntax changes, and there's a comparison between before and after this change. And that's
nice.
It.
And because we are nerds, we are using a git diff for the comparison.
Yeah,
because
we talked way too long about that.
Yeah,
whether we should have a table.
This was a whole thread about like how should we do this.
I mean, yeah, it seems lame, but in the end, it's very important because this is how people get to know what's the change. But I mean, it was worth it. Dogs are important.
Yeah, dogs are important.
I agree, crew. Anyhow, next thing is this the game thing.
I'm excited for.
Let me try. I prepared a kind of a contraption here to show it working on my watch.
Ooh.
Is this like doable? Let me just switch for. Can you stop sharing my screen, please, crew? Okay.
Oh, I see something going on.
Can we make Renan bigger?
Bigger? You want me bigger?
You know, not me. Renan.
Like this?
No, I meant your camera in the stream.
Oh, okay.
So we can see what's on the watch.
So you want me smaller then? Okay, I'll make myself.
Technical difficulties.
I mean, it wouldn't be one of our OSS streams.
Ooh,
no.
Now it looks good.
Yeah,
I like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so not water. I didn't drink water today. Don't shame me. All right. So we have this thing here. The first icon on top. Boom. Oh, I just lost
Game over.
Yeah. Let me just start again.
A really difficult game, apparently.
It's really difficult. My high score is 27, and this was like a lucky run. But anyhow, so the game is this. It's like an asteroids-ish thing, and you can control with the physical rotating bezel. And the deal of the game is you can't see when the asteroids are coming. They are sneaky bastards, and they will kill you. If you stay like doing this all the time, it won't kill too many. Sometimes it will kill, but it's not the best strategy. So you just have to keep looking. Don't stay stale in some places. And the thing is, most asteroids will never hit you. Some will, like
just
you
like
just
in
said.
real space.
Yeah. So sometimes you have like 2 asteroids coming at you, and just one is gonna hit you. So you have to pick your battles, And there's this little orange-ish thing. Oh, let me see if I can. I think I will.
Is that like a sort of sensor, like potential incoming, or
sensor? What do I mean?
Well, the orange glow.
Oh yeah, it's like a radar.
Okay.
I will show the code in a little bit. And the fun part is this kind of effect of the asteroids being illuminated is just blend modes, color dodge, and that's it. You use color dodge blend mode.
So no shaders.
No shaders here.
Ooh.
I mean, it's doable shaders, but
we left that one for another tweet.
Yeah, the context here is we have a very limited hardware, especially when it comes down to battery life, and I mean it's quite powerful for something that goes to our wrist. I mean, some years ago, devices like this were not good enough to run stuff at 30 frames per second. I guess this one specifically, which is the Galaxy Watch 4, runs at 60 frames per second. And you have to be careful with battery life and spending too much of GPU and CPU. And this thing has a GPU, and it's quite fun. Shaders work on them, but I didn't want to make something to kill the battery in a second, and also to use the most basic stuff regarding graphic rendering that we have in Flutter. So this is something you can use. You can do working on the Flutter stable channel.
Oh, nice.
Anyhow, a little bit of the code. I guess my screen could go back, please.
I really just want to buy that watch now because it looks so fun to just have the bezel to play the game. I'm like, it feels so futuristic, like rotating the bezel to do things.
Yeah, and the way you filmed it for your tweet was like very professional looking. The blur in the background.
The blur, it's like
it was noticeable that you did it in the weekend because it looked good. Like you put in the effort to record it correctly and
Oh no, I did that in the Monday. The recording was in the Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, but
I just assumed that took a lot of time to get right or something. But
it took me a lot of time. Something about 6 hours. You have no idea, man. It was a big hassle because there's the tripod, the camera, batteries dying all the time, and also my camera is not the best for making films because the viewfinder is very small. So anyhow, a little bit of the code. So this uses obviously Flame. Let me close all of this. I should be prepared a little bit more, but anyhow, I used our templates. I cannot remember. This was Friday 1 a.m. Oh, Friday to Saturday 1 a.m. I don't remember if I use the core or the game templates. Doesn't matter.
It's okay.
Yeah, I changed
We'll find out. We'll see if we can tell just based on the structure.
I mean, I should be able to tell. I created the Flame template.
Yeah, come on, yo. I mean, it looks a little bit like core as well with the main files, but it's hard to tell.
I created this main here, but it was a temporary fix for a problem on Android Studio. But anyhow, we have this feature here, the game one, and I'm using qubits to manage the state. So I have one that just goes for states if I'm playing, if it's game over, or if it's this initial screen. It's kind of a route. I don't know. The game stuff. Okay, for another stage, you have a rotation. So the idea is we have 2 controllers, touchscreen, and also the rotary bezel. They're different stuff, but they have a common state. So I just wanted to figure this out in the widget level and put in the stage, and the game can read this, and also the score, which saves high score on a hydrated block.
Oh, nice.
It's persisted.
The app, the OS, the Wear OS app is also storing the state then on the
the high score. So you kill the game and just go back again. The high score is here. So we have persistence. The controllers, Rotary, we use this plugin, Wearable Rotary, which is made by the Samsung team working on Tizen, and someone opened a pull request to Wear OS. So it works on both iOS and Tizen with Flutter stuff. I just have to do all the setup for the Flutter Tizen things and test it and potentially put on the Galaxy Store. Anyhow, and the other controller is just a touch input, a basic pen gesture recognizer with pen start, pen update, and pen cancel. One important thing here, of course, if the game is not in the playing state, does not accept the gesture, and also you cannot start a gesture by clicking the start in the middle of the very middle of the screen, the very center of the screen, because for some reason this was giving me a very bad experience. You have to be careful that the people have to run the finger around the screen, not in the middle.
Not in the middle.
Yeah. So the game itself is really, really heavily based on effects. So everything that moves in the screen is effect. I'm not controlling movement on the update cycle, not manually at least. So, and also I'm not using camera components. I'm sorry. I didn't feel like comfortable enough to use that because that's experimental, but maybe we can change because I need zoom. And anyhow, so
It
camera
has
is
zoom.
oh yeah, but not animated. It's not easy to put an effect on the zoom of this camera. When it's a
Not
component,
yet.
it's totally doable. Yeah, but the
Yeah,
camera
I get it.
viewport is something else. So, so I just have this component here that has basically this, I guess this was for the bug, but shouldn't have any size, and the camera is just following this, and other components are controlling like the position of this. So for example, we have this effect of the camera moving when forward the player is aiming to, is kind of following another thing that's inside the ship. So it's like we have the component ship kind of here. Can you see my mouse? Yes.
Yep.
And I move the camera to follow a little bit in the center. But when it goes to this state of game over, this camera subject moves to the point of intersection. And when we go to initial screen, we just move to 0, 0, the center of the universe again. So that's why we have the animation, and all of this is done using effects. So yeah, so see this movement that it made to
Yep.
this point. So it because now it's following this component here, the camera spot. And the camera spot is a little bit dislocated. I'm sorry, this code is not the best, but anyhow,
It's weekend code, right?
It's on a Monday.
yeah, on Monday. So if we increase a little bit this distance from the ship, let me just restart this. Wait, where is this? Okay, I think that's the one. See, it goes to the edge of the screen, so the movement goes a lot more aggressive as a user.
That would make it so much harder, probably.
Probably, yeah. I mean, maybe further phases, further levels in the future. Anyhow,
what about the part where you're kind of like you mentioned, the light that's illuminating the asteroids, the radius of that section?
That is a nice sprite, and I was pretty lazy on that sprite, I have to confess, because it's basically the symbol of the ship turned upside down and blurred. I did this on the finished designer like 5 seconds, exported and use it here.
If it works and nobody notices it.
Yeah, I would have never known that.
I mean, some people, I got some feedbacks that it looks like really bad, you know.
Then they just don't have taste.
Yeah, I have this ship glow. So this is the image, all right, and the effect is caused by one image on the top. Not one, but 2, noise 7 and noise 6, because this is all the noises I tested out and I got into this number. And I have these 2 things using color dodge as
blend mode.
Blend mode, yes. Thanks. My brain just blanked out there. So
blended out.
Blended out, no, blanket in this case, or use it multiply as blend mode. Anyhow, ship HUD. Yeah. So here we have this names are totally out of date. This is the blend modes I use it originally, but I changed it out. I changed it so much. I was testing so much, but I forgot to update the names. But yeah, it's 96, 97. The fun part is the parallax that is created with the background is because of these lines. So it just positioning itself in the opposite direction that the camera moves. So if the camera moves north, the noise will move south, and you have like
so
parallax.
It looks like it's moving.
Yes,
it's like floating. Yeah.
The color dodge is applied here. So
nice.
If you change for lighting, this will look awful. Let me see. Come on. It doesn't look that awful.
Not too bad.
It's more bright. It probably
Yeah.
looks a bit weird in game, I suppose.
We're about
I
to
know
find
it's
out.
the same all the time. It's the same all the time. What? Oh, okay.
There we
No,
go. Yeah.
I think this the 96 is more dramatic. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
but
that's a lot harder.
you still got the asteroids that it has its blade modes by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is I like this technique. It's quite simple and something that's on Flutter since 2018. I don't know.
I mean, it once again proved that you don't need any fancy art to create a good-looking game.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry, you go.
You just hide away all the ugliness.
Exactly.
Blend it.
Exactly. This is the secret. For good looking games and applications, you just put the ugly stuff under the rug. It's just like also how you clean your house, right? I don't know. And the radar is the orange circle that appears when an asteroid is sneaking up on you. So I have some colors, and I call it alert in this case, which is a component that we add, just a circle component that we add with some brief, some very subtle effects. In this case, the effect goes for 1.5 seconds. And there's this sequence effect that after the opacity effect that makes the alert blink when it goes like back to 100% of opacity, a 0% of opacity, sorry, it is removed, But all of this is interesting, but personally speaking, the part I liked most was spawning asteroids, because it was kind of this is like the heart of the game, the concept of the game. Because if this experience of the user, the player, depends on how this will behave. So we have basically this square of the screen where the player lives and can see, and the asteroids will come from the periphery of this area. So we have northwest, which is in this area here in relation to the screen. If the center is here, northwest, northeast, west, east, yada yada yada. This was a huge exercise of English for me right now. Anyhow, and we can describe a path for the asteroid. So when we spawn an asteroid, we will decide randomly which zone it will appear, and the path is basically where it will go and how. Where it will go can be decided by this and this two methods that we have here, and where it will how it will go is also decided by a random that will decide if you go like straight. So if you're northwest, it goes southwest, like straight, or you can make a curve. In this case, there's lots of random ideas I tested out, and this basically uses a cubic curve somehow. The curved opposite destination area. Let me see if I use this again somehow. Yes, uses a conic path, and decides the destination with a force of 2, being the center, the position of the ship, which is always 0, 0. And we put the asteroid to follow that path with an effect. So it's
the move along path effect.
Move long path effect. Exactly.
I didn't even know.
Yes.
So that's something that comes with Flame?
Yes.
Wow.
The effects API is one of those things that a lot of people don't know how powerful it can be.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
This is also why the new camera component is basically built on top of like the effects API, because these kinds of things you want to do for like camera action and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But you can also just use it on any other component.
Yeah, camera component is gonna be amazing. What I wanted is when you hit the asteroid, it would zoom like dramatically. You lose. See this,
Oh
because
yeah, rub it in.
yeah, rub this in, But yeah, I even have I think I have in the thread tweet demonstration of how this
The lines
paths
go,
work.
right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that.
and I
Yeah, I
really
saw
like
that.
the
Mhm.
I really like the aesthetics of that. I'm not gonna show my tweet right now. Whatever.
I was about to say, don't open Twitter.
Yeah, it's like opening.
Well, I
Yeah,
say
you
that
won't believe the
right
messages.
away. I get mentioned on Twitter at the very good ventures. Like we are being stalked.
Oh, okay,
Mm,
okay.
The crew is being
Thanks, crew.
active.
yeah, thanks, crew.
Thanks, crew.
So this is my demonstration for today. Sorry if it took too much time. Yeah, it took half
No,
of
this
the
is
time.
awesome.
Finally,
Quick
I'm not
one.
the one that's taking all the time.
I mean, I think it's something that we all had seen and thought was super cool, but haven't actually like taken a deep dive into, or at least I haven't. And I
Me
learned
neither.
a bunch of new things just now, so I think that was super awesome, especially about the Flame Effects API.
One side note, I just noticed our names are totally out of pattern. Yours is just your name. Mine is my
Yeah, I
Twitter
noticed
handle.
that as well.
This is professional.
Okay.
Oh, we have the link to the tweet below.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can go check that out. Renan has a bunch of cool visualizations there. I think the asteroid path one was super useful to help understand how it's implemented.
Exactly.
Sweet.
And some of them doesn't even go close to the ship just to make people scary when they see it. Anyhow, the current state of this, I'm trying to get it through the store, but there's a problem. You have to pass as a normal app, and after that, for the first time at least, you have to apply for your app to be able to install on wearables. So
That's annoying.
the first review is always takes
It's
always
gonna
a
be
long
hard.
time. Yeah, it took me like 24 hours to get into the store, but after that, it's still not installable on devices. It doesn't allow you to install on smartphones. By the way, this run on any smartphone, on any Flutter smartphone, so you can run on iPhones, Android, tablets, desktop, even web. I don't know if it will run on web, mobile, but anyhow.
I mean, it should. It's touch based.
Should.
Right?
If you force compile with CanvasKit.
Yeah,
If you
but you
compile
should do it
normal
anyway
way,
with a Flame game.
yes, yeah. Oh yeah.
Otherwise, the blend modes and stuff.
I was gonna
won't
say the
work
blend
anyway.
modes don't work, right? Yeah.
I mean, it will work very bad. At
Mhm.
least I had this flame effects challenge some months ago that looks really bad on mobile. Anyhow, so I'm right now waiting for this to get the approval because there's lots of guidelines on the store documentation that you have to follow to have your app being usable on wearables, being installable on wearables. And actually, this kind of stuff has its own Play Store application. It's quite fun, quite cute. Such a small screen, you have a store. Anyhow, that's it.
What
I
about
mean,
what about Apple Watch, Hanan? Are you gonna support
Oh,
Apple Watch?
yeah. So I was talking to Roa yesterday. She was trying to make this run on her Apple Watch, and it seems like Flutter doesn't quite support Apple Watch yet. Like you can't run Flutter on Apple Watch.
Mm. Oh, Ro
Yeah.
is here in the chat.
Row is here. So we have this problem. But once that's figured out, I guess it will be figured out someday by the Flutter team. This should be like the first thing we should do when this comes
Gotcha.
out.
exciting stuff. I
Nice,
hope they will
nice.
add support for it. I mean,
Yep.
on the subject of Flame, I also have something related to Flame to show.
Okay.
Really? That's shocking.
Really? Yeah. Oh, shocking.
Oh,
And
didn't know that.
I'm gonna let you guys choose
Okay.
because
Us or the audience?
well, anyone honestly, because I could talk about Sashimi, which is a pseudo 3D rendering engine that I've built on top of Flame or framework for those who are
Okay.
not agreeing
Meta
with
framework.
it. It's a meta framework, or about the new Flame behaviors, basically API that we have restructured
Sashimi.
and documented.
Sashimi because I'm hungry.
Also,
Yeah.
Sashimi is visually more appealing, I
I
guess.
vote for Sashimi too. I think it will look visually cooler, especially because my demo is not visually cool, so we need some more visually cool.
Okay, fair enough. Let me share my screens. Let's see. Oh, okay, this should work. So I'm just gonna start up the main project.
The mainframe.
Booting up the mainframe. I'm hacking the mainframe. But
Maybe can you make VS Code a tiny bit bigger?
Yeah.
For those of us who struggle to read.
Those of us who don't have glasses.
Yes.
So this is Sashimi, which right now you're thinking, well, like, what does this mean? It's a pseudo 3D framework that I created using a technique called sprite stacking, which basically allows me to have 3D-like objects in a 3D space. So we can fully rotate. Basically, yeah, these objects which are layered, and you can quite well see it on the rectangle one. Like you can see that these are basically rectangles drawn
They're
on
stacked.
top of each other. And then by using that something that's called math, I'm recalculating its position basically whenever I rotate, etc., allowing it to basically figure out, hey, how should this object look like? So for instance, this, what is it? It's a sort of island.
Iceberg.
Yeah, it was never meant to be an iceberg. But this looks like it is basically in the water. But basically what is happening here is if you go completely to the outer edge, it's basically just another object that is using the same math, but at a different layer. So it's basically overlapping. Because it's so big and it's at a certain Z offset, it basically looks like these things are floating in the water. And honestly, that allows you to create really cute games. It's a really expensive operation because obviously this is a 2D engine. So each of these layers you have to draw on top of each other. Like it is more expensive than just having rendered sprites of different angles. But you can make a lot of really cute games in a really specific style, basically. Like,
is Sashimi optimized enough to like only render the visible parts?
Yeah. So if we zoom in here, let me quick do one thing. Let me do just one single thing. Scale 2.7.5. Now it's more visible, the values. As you can see, while I'm scrolling, the amount of components goes down or up. So right now it has a lot of things loaded. But if I, for instance, zoom in on this island here, you can see we only have 70 components left. And if I zoom even further and move this out of the screen, it's now 8. And if I move it completely out of the screen, it's just 1 because that you still see the blue border. So it is able to basically call out everything that's not within view while still having the ability to basically update it. So as you can see, the amount of object doesn't go down. So one of these islands is an object consisting out of multiple components. These objects won't be removed. So you can still have like update logic, things moving in your world, but at least visually, that won't hurt your performance in any formal way.
Yeah. And Ro is asking, is this something similar to what Jaime did with the slide puzzle?
Honestly, I don't know because I don't know
either. Yeah. We have to check with Jaime and see.
Yeah.
He was ahead of the times.
I mean, I've also been building my own game using this on my own live stream. Haha, shameless plug. But people have made really beautiful games with it, with this technique. Like games like Nium, Nium, is a really... Let me quickly see if I can find a good picture of it. Thank you, Google, for understanding what I'm talking about. So this game is also sprite stacked.
Mm.
And you can really see it here, like this tree, for instance, and these barrels. I mean, it's a really bad picture, but if I do a YouTube video, it probably would be even worse. Like this is fully 3D in the sense that sadly it's never continued to develop. Oops, let me just scroll out of the ad. But it's people have done some amazing things with these techniques, and I'm sadly enough not a designer, so I can't do it at that level as they are doing it.
Oh, question in the chat.
Oh,
does Sashimi have a logo?
Yes, Sashimi has a logo. Like, let me quickly just.
Oh yeah, this looks.
It's
nice.
Really beautiful. Like, I'll just share it in the private chat, so
the crew can post it.
Sashimi does have a logo. It's Sashimi Slices. It's created by an amazing artist, but he asked me to not announce his name with the logo. I'm still working on basically getting it done with some text, etc., and then publish it on README. But yes, it does have a logo, and it's basically Sashimi slices on top of each other. That's also why the engine is called.
Yeah, that's cute.
Sashimi.
You should have incorporated some sushi into your example.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking of just making some like a table with like sushi on top of it. But again, I'm not a designer. Like, making this island already took me like almost an hour.
I was about to ask. So you said it's not a iceberg glacier; it's an island. That was your intention?
Yeah, it was like meant like it's based. It's basically based on another example I found on YouTube who also used this technique. Because normally you would use like a 3D voxel-based editor like Magica Voxel to create these objects. But then you can't have these beautiful rounded corners.
Nice.
So I was really curious on how they did it. And, well, they apparently just drew it manually, so I tried that as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's not a massive success.
This kind of remember this type of games that you like build the map. You have to build the map, you know? So this kind of progressive rendering where you can have soft corners everywhere. Really remember that, but that doesn't remember me of an island. This is
I think it's just the color. If you just change the color.
I should probably have done like brown or like gray,
and
brown, green, and then it would have looked like an island.
And my other question was going to be, I don't know if you want to talk about the experiment that you did to do like procedural world generation habitat style, if that could also mix with Sashimi. Like if you're trying to procedurally generate a world with different terrains.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me just open that because I don't think a lot of people...
Because that's what it immediately made me think of. Like, it'd be cool if we can apply the same technique and then have like snow, water, sand.
Let me quickly just find where I put it because I have no idea.
It's been in the archives for a while.
I mean, I have way too many projects on my...
Yeah, you do.
Oi. What is that supposed to mean, Felix?
Nothing.
You said yourself.
It's just a statement.
Oh, it might not even be on this computer. That's interesting.
Oh, it's okay. I guess if it's inconvenient to get to it, we can maybe show it on another.
I mean, maybe it's better if let me just screen share it. You just switch to your thing as well, because I'm also interested in what you have to share. And if I find it, then I can always.
Yeah, we can always switch back to you. Yeah,
but sounds good. Behaviors.
What was what?
But flame behaviors.
I mean, do you want to quickly mention flame behaviors at least?
Oh, flame behaviors.
Yeah.
Good one. Okay, this is like pretty accurate to what would normally happen in our meeting.
I'm such a professional. Yeah, let me just share my screen again. Whoop.
Share. Hang on, did you end up using flame behaviors on the asteroid?
He did not.
No, okay.
That's why I think he used the core as well, because the file structure for the game was not how the flame game is, which comes with flame behaviors. So, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with flame behaviors, but it's basically a package that we created at VGV for based on all the work that we have done with flame and game development in Flutter. So we did the the pinball game for Google I/O last year.
All right.
And the team behind that has, first of all, they've done an amazing job on that. But they had some struggles with how to basically create a certain structure in that game. And over the time, they basically developed a format. They discussed it with us, like, hey, what would be a good way of structuring our components and our game code and that kind of stuff, like separation of concern. Like, how do we keep it scalable and testable? And from there, we basically created flame behaviors. It was basically a direct result of what we've done on pinball and like the ranch game that we have done. Like, it grew over time.
And it's also in the Flame game template, right?
Yes, it's also in the Flame game template, which should now be updated with the next version, because Flame behaviors will have a completely breaking change.
Partially due to Flame, right? We're bumping the version of Flame.
Yeah, partially because of the new Flame version 1.6.0, which is a breaking release from Flame. But also because we have decided to make our rules less strict in Flame behaviors. So before we had you had an entity, and an entity can have behaviors, and by default the entity was a positioned entity. So in the current version, this is just called entity, which extends a position component, and it had some fancy logic. But that meant we could not easily have our behavioral pattern on top of things that are not a position component, or on things like a sprite component that we want to make into an entity.
Yeah.
So,
and we have a question on this as well. Like there's an analysis issue on pub.dev for Flame behaviors, and that's something that we're aware of, right? We just need to publish the new.
We just have to publish the new version, and it should be fixed. Which is also because of the Flame breaking release, which is it's kind of annoying, but it was really necessary for Flame as well.
Yeah, will be fixed soon. Yeah, exactly. Fix coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, like we now have a positioned entity, which is exactly the same as the current entity, but we also have a normal entity, which is not positioned in any formal way. It's just a normal component, and they all use the entity mixin that has all the behavioral logic to make sure that everything works as we want it to work according to our specs, which allows us to do things like a game that is an entity, and therefore you can just abstract away its own specific behaviors, keeping your game code really clean, and then your specific behavior that does something specific also really clean and really testable, because now if I just want to test the spawning behavior, I don't have to load the whole example game, which might need a build context or whatever. I could just define a Flame game with an entity mixin and add my specific behavior. Or I could do a mock of the example game when it has a strict parent. In this case, I don't even think it needs a strict parent.
It needs a parent.
It needs a
Flame game, at least. That is an entity mixin, so that's the reason why. But this API allows us to do a lot of things. So the circle one extends a positioned entity, so we can just position it visually and it can move around. Let me just start up the example as well. And it has become a lot more flexible while still having that powerful separation of concern built in, basically. And we provide certain types of behaviors as well that are like the Flame. So in this case, we have a spawning behavior that I added for the new API to showcase.
And the collision.
So whenever I click, and this is basically a behavior on the game, it will just spawn more components. Either a circle or a rectangle. It's completely random.
You know what? I think we need another game. We need to do another range to showcase this new API.
another game. Yeah, I mean, I'm up for it, but
we're always brainstorming. I think Eric also had an idea for another game, so we'll have to talk.
But let's not scale up the features like we did on the range.
Yeah, no, like that would be the ranch. Like, not a lot of people know it, but it was a project that took a long time.
We wanted to do it in 1 month. We want to do it in 1 month and took like 6.
Yeah, that's the lesson when you're trying to build a game. like quadruple your estimates for how long you think it's going to take, or maybe
Also,
more.
Make
just
it
doing
clear
one
what the
weekend.
game is going to be. Like already have some like mock-ups of what the goal of the game is, because
Yeah.
we
That
didn't
was a
have
big
that either.
challenge, right? Like we didn't have dedicated designers or anything
No.
at the beginning. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big part of building the game, is making it look nice. So
Or
yep.
just do everything in one weekend. I guess the secret for finishing the watch rides in one weekend was just I have to do this. I'm going to stick with this. But
Yeah.
while coding, I was like, what if I put an enemy here? What if the asteroid shoot at me?
You have to
So this
resist
kind
the
of stuff,
temptation.
you have to
Yeah.
resist the urge to add features. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the dangerous part of game development.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Game
yeah, Rant
development
is out
is
there.
super time consuming. Yeah, check out Ranch. It's still up. The repo is archived, but you can still play it on web. So you can just click on the link, ranch.vgv.dev. Cool. So I guess we only have like 10 minutes left, so I can quickly share my demo, my less visual demo, if the crew will present my screen. Cool. So I guess the more exciting thing I was thinking I could demo is the POC that we did for the Dartfrog API client generation. So some people might have seen that tweet that we shared a few days ago. And yeah, I kind of wanted to walk through kind of more in depth than just that little screen recording that we shared, and talk about maybe some next steps. But basically, at a high level, on the right-hand side, I'm just running the to-dos example straight out of the Dartfrog repo. So if you go to the Dartfrog GitHub repo, there's an examples directory, and we have a to-dos API. And this to-dos API exposes two endpoints, one that's just to-dos and one that's to-dos / some ID. And you can query for to-dos, you can get the details for one to-do, you can create a to-do, delete a to-do, all the CRUD operations that you might be used to. And so basically, I'm on this POC branch right now on Dartfrog, where whenever I start up the server with the Dartfrog dev command, and this may change in the future, this is just partially for POC purposes, but as soon as I run the server, it automatically generates this client package. And if we look at it a bit more closely, it's just a regular Dart package. It has a dependency on Dartfrog and HTTP. And it's just a regular library that has a client, some endpoints, just basically representations of requests and responses and all that good stuff. We tried to make it as close as possible to like human readable code that is like understandable and might be something that you would actually write by hand potentially if you were writing this code yourself. So it's not intended to be like gibberish that you can't understand. Hopefully when we're done with all this, it's really clean code that you might even decide like you'll just track this in source control and you don't generate it every single time. Depends on your philosophy on code gen. But yeah, anyway, this is all generated by Dartfrog as part of the dev command. So if I were to change the routes, it will regenerate this client with new information. And on the left here, I just have an empty project, and I have two dependencies here that I'm going to pull in. So one is on the client, that's this package that was generated, and another one is on this data source, which is just another package that lives in here, and this exposes common models, like for what a to-do is, etc. You might name this something different, like shared or common or models or whatever, TBD on the naming convention. But basically, that's what these two dependencies are, since the client doesn't give you access to models or anything like that. And if we run a Dart pub get, we should then be able to do something like create a client. And we just have this to-dos client, which accepts the base URI. So here, it's just running on localhost. Oops, URI, if I can type. Localhost 8080. And
Felix is really bad at typing. He misses the slashes.
Yeah.
Because it's live.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because my muscle memory is always HTTPS as well. So I was focusing so much on not typing the S that I didn't type the slash.
Then you skip everything else.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really bad at typing live for sure. So here we're creating this client, And the cool thing is, or were you going to say something, Hannah?
No, I just said nice.
Nice. Yeah, so the cool thing is you get a strongly typed API for the things that you can do depending on the routes that are exposed. So in this case, we only have this to-dos route. So we have a to-dos getter that's exposed. And on here, we can perform different operations. So we can make a delete request, a get request, a post request, etc. But there's also this ID thing, and this corresponds to the ID endpoint that's exposed. So we can query all to-dos, or we can query to-dos by a certain ID, and this requires a string identifier for the ID. So for example, we can create a to-do, and this is coming from that to-dos data source. And a to-do has a bunch of properties, but the only required one, as far as I recall, is the title. So what's something that you guys want to do today?
Do a live stream.
Yeah. Do a live stream. Cool.
That
one we can cross off.
Check it off.
Yeah. And how do we create a to-do? We can do client.todos.post, and post accepts a body. Right now, this isn't strongly typed in terms of like a post doesn't accept a to-do directly. It just accepts a body. We're still trying to figure out if there's ways to improve this and make this more strongly typed. But as of now, the goal was to see how good of a client can be generated without modifying the public API on Dartfrog. And so right now, there's no generics or anything on the Dartfrog APIs to really tell you information about the type here, which is why this is the way it is. But we can still do things like JSON encode the to-do.
Nice.
And this returns a response, which we can then deserialize. We can assume that this worked. I mean, normally you can check like response.status code. If it's not equal to whatever, okay, then you can do like...
Is it?
Yeah.
Like I know that on Dartfrog on the backend, when you return a model that has the toJSON method built in,
you don't need to, right? That's
is that the same here? Do we even need a JSON encode then?
I think we will.
Oh yeah, because we just assume
because it's not a type string. I think you're right though. I don't think we need the explicit toJSON. We can try that and verify. And so we can do some. Something went wrong. Otherwise, if it is a 200, we can get the response body by saying body equals response dot. In this case, we know it's going to be JSON. And we can create a new to-do from this, because when you make a post request to create a new to-do, you get a to-do back with an ID and everything. So we can then do a to-do from JSON, and then JSON. Actually, should we be able to?
JSON,
right? We should be able to do all this the way we get this back. Yeah, and then now we can query things like, what is the ID of my to-do? I guess I can run this in debug, and we can inspect all of that. And I guess we can do a delete at the very end so that we clean up the back end, which is keeping everything in memory anyway, so it's not a big deal. But
should we?
Or go ahead.
Instead of delete, just check it off, right? That's another.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So we can do to-dos by ID, right? New to-do.id. I'm gonna force unwrap just for now, and then what is it? A patch?
I think so. It's been a while since I've looked at the API. I mean, we could just open the the code on the right, huh?
It's over there.
It's a put. It's a put. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we're going to put, and I think we can do new to do that copy with, right? And then is completed.
But
true.
We do have to do the JSON encode around it, right?
Yes. Thank you for spotting me. And the formatting is annoying me, but that's because I'm not. So let's just do like the put response in this case. We're gonna make a put with this new to-do ID, and we're going to update the completed flag to true. And I guess we can query all the to-dos. So client.todos.get. Let me make this response. And I guess for simplicity, we can just print all of them just to make sure that everything's working.
Nice.
And we're not doing anything with this, so exclude it for now. And yeah, so that's kind of the ergonomics of how you'd work with the API right now. So we can run this and debug, have some breakpoint for some reason, but let's just see what happens. Oh, and we imported Dart HTML. Oh, it's because that's the wrong import. Yeah. Always import.
This happens.
I don't get why they don't have a nice layer between that for the.
So that we can always be on our toes. So, okay, yeah, here we're making the initial request to create a to-do. Let's see what we got back as our response. We got a 201, so everything's good.
Right.
And we're not going to go into the uh-oh. Oh,
Yeah,
we are going to go into the
because
of course.
201
yes,
is not 200.
It's created, not okay.
Yep. So let's restart.
We are professionals.
We are professionals. We've done this before. Yeah, so now we should not go into the uh-oh. Perfect. Now we can get the body. And if we look at the body, we have an ID that was assigned by the API, the title. We can also look on the right-hand side here. We're logging all of the requests that are being made to the Dartfrog server. So we can confirm that we did make 2 post requests. And let's see if the deserialization works. It looks like it did. So we now have a strongly typed Dart object, which is shared between the client code and the server code, which is nice. We didn't have to duplicate the to-do. And the last thing, I guess, is to see if when we query all of our to-dos,
we should at least have 2 entries,
should have
right?
2. Yeah, which it looks like we do. Yeah, we have 2
2
to-dos that are do a live stream, which is not completed, and the second one is completed. So we have succeeded. But yeah, that's
I mean, one of the to-dos is for you, and the other one is for Renan.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm on the live stream too. I'm the live stream too. Come on.
Yeah, we should have had 3 to-dos. But anyway, yeah, that was a quick demo of the API client generation. I think we're over time. Otherwise, I could share some other stuff, but maybe we can talk about some of the other.
I'm not sure if there are any questions.
Yeah, if there are
questions
questions.
that people might have.
Otherwise,
it's always a nice way to end the stream.
Regarding everything.
Ooh,
oh yeah, we have
that's
a question
a
on
good
Impeller.
question.
That is a good question. Very timely.
I can answer this one. The answer would be no, because their goal, Flutter's goal, is to at least keep the whole Canvas API, which is what Flame is using, the same. So it should not be a breaking change on that level, because otherwise they would have to rewrite a lot of their own code as well. But it would require... We can do a lot more interesting stuff, hopefully, with Impeller for Flame. Like the whole shader API and stuff would be optimized, and they are opening up like 3D scenes and stuff, which is something we are interested in to explore. Yes. So we are excited for Impeller, but thankfully we probably won't have to do any heavy changes. I mean, I already ran an iOS app with Impeller and Flame, and it just worked as expected. So awesome stuff, at least in the future for Flutter.
Our shaders things also works like the same. There's just one small difference between Impeller and Skia when you're working with fragment shaders, because the way you get the coordinate of the current pixel is slightly different. So there's a small layer, a small import that you can call it. It will route.
I'm curious if they're going to fix that, though, because that would break a lot of existing shader code as well.
There's a way. They're using the internal shaders already. It's you import a JSL file. It's one of the few files you can import on Flutter. And there's a function that's Flutter coordinate or something. So it helps if you're using Skia. It goes and uses the Skia way.
Oh, so it abstracts.
Yeah, it's just an if, but it's very useful. So yeah, I hope this kind of stuff will be like. I don't think they will break anything, because it will take a long time to develop. But anyhow.
Yeah.
This about that.
Another question. Yeah. So the question is, if we pass it to do model.
I think we sort of answered this. But I think the question now is, like, can we remove it completely also from the client side? Because the server side, you can just pass the model directly.
Yeah, it would be nice if on the client side, you could just pass strongly typed Dart objects, and it would be more like calling a function rather than making a HTTP request. The downside of supporting something like that is it will most likely require changes to the public API on Dartfrog, because we'll need to have, there are two main problems, I think, with the way things are right now. One is we don't have enough information to know the different types of HTTP methods that are supported per route handler. So like if you only want an API that supports creating a new to-do, for example, and you only want to support the post HTTP method, that's not something that's easy for us to kind of detect. And yeah, and then the second piece is we don't have any generics or annotations or anything currently that tell you what type of object is being returned. Also, like, it gets complicated, right? Because what if on a 201 you return a to-do, but then you maybe can also return a 200 with a different strongly typed object? Now you have to start going like open API style with all these different annotations for everything. So we're kind of trying to figure out, like, is there a good balance between those? Because yeah, there's always trade-offs, obviously. So.
It might also be interesting, also with the current question, like, would this work with WebSockets as well? Like, if we have a layer on top of Dartfrog that's more opinionated, so we can enforce certain ways of writing code, because Dartfrog is really like, we don't define anything on how you have to write your code, except like it has to be
we need a meta
folder file based. So a layer on top of that would make it a lot easier for us. But that's
and it might work with WebSockets as well. There's a new issue that I think we actually just opened yesterday to basically do some research on how we can support external packages that hook into the code gen step of Dartfrog, if that's at all feasible. Because if that were feasible, then it would potentially really improve the WebSocket support.
We should also explore the macro feature thingy that Dart is going to support, hopefully.
Yeah, for static meta programming. Yeah. Is there a roadmap? Yes, there is. If you go to dartfrog.vgv.dev, there's a link at the top for the roadmap, and we try to keep that up to date. But also the repo is open, so you can always check out the issues that are being created and what's in progress and what isn't. So we try to be as transparent as possible. But yeah, the crew has the link for the roadmap.
Thanks, crew.
Thanks, crew.
Our crew is the best. Like, shout out to the crew. Like,
yeah. Another Dartfrog question: can we generate Swagger? Not yet, but it's on the roadmap.
Nice.
I think that once we sort out the client generation, then the Swagger / Open API piece will be quite simple to do. So
yeah,
we're just trying to make sure
with it, right? Because technically it's the same problem that we're trying to solve.
Exactly. Ideally, we have one layer to collect all the metadata for everything, and then we can kind of use it to generate clients, use it to generate API specs, etc. Any good practice for making deep connections to DB? Does anyone else want to answer this? I mean, we have some examples of.
Yeah, right. Like, you would define some form of like a provided class, and then with a middleware, you can basically inject it and then get it. I think we even have a sort of example tutorial somewhere, right?
Yeah, we don't have anything with DBs in the tutorials.
No, but with like the way of how to write it, and then it can be a database, or it could be like a to-do repository, or like any code abstraction that you want.
I think even the to-dos example has kind of that structure in place. I mean, it really depends on when you're
that is the one that I was talking about. It's the to-do API.
Yeah, you should check out in the Dartfrog repo. Yeah, the tutorial for the to-dos as well as the source code.
True.
But basically, it just depends on if you want the connection to be established lazily, or if you want the connection to be established immediately. You can create like a entry point for your server and automatically try to connect, and then provide the instance of the DB connection via some middleware or provider. Or you can do it lazily. It really just depends on your use case and what you want to optimize for. But hopefully the tutorial gets you off to like a good starting point. Oh, Morgan. Hey, Morgan. Thanks for tuning in. Question about testing endpoints with Dartfrog. I mean,
same way you would test anything, right?
Yeah, all of our examples
unit test
have
and end-to-end test, probably.
Yeah. I think that's one of the nice things about the Dartfrog code bases, all the examples have tests in them. What Jochum mentioned, there's unit tested, but also end-to-end tests, and even tests that create a build of the server and run it in a Docker container and then make requests to it to make sure that everything is working correctly. So there's various ways, but at the end of the day, it's just a function that takes a request context as input and then returns a response as output. So I think
it might be interesting to look if we could write like some Dartfrog test library that provides like
that's on the roadmap.
An easier way to build up a request context, because that's often the most difficult part to do.
Yeah, the mocks are the annoying part right now. Yeah, that's something that we have on the roadmap that we just need to get to, but hopefully it'll be even easier. Another Dartfrog question. Would Dartfrog change the prospects for Dart on the back end? Is it more diffuse in industry? I guess they're asking, will Dartfrog help make Dart on the back end a bit more common or easier to use? Hopefully.
I mean, that's technically speaking, Dartfrog itself, obviously by default, but it's also like how we are using it, we are developing it, we are talking about it, all those kinds of things. And also
having
a lot of people in the community has been doing talks about it, not even from us. Like it has been quite noticeable for us that people are getting more into the back-end side of Dart.
I think it's worth calling out that Dartfrog isn't the thing. Like Dartfrog isn't really that new or revolutionary or anything. Like it's like they mentioned, it's literally just built on Shelf. And for people who don't know, Shelf is maintained by the Dart team, and it's actually what's used to build things like pub.dev. So like Dart on the server has been used for a while.
It's been around for years.
I think I froze. Yeah, so it's been around for a long time. It's been used in like really serious large scale projects. So obviously run your benchmarks and make your decisions based on your use case, but Dartfrog is mainly just there to kind of give you some nice syntactic sugar maybe on top of Shelf, and also things like hot reload and the API client generation hopefully soon will be kind of like icing on the cake to make it even easier. But hopefully more teams, especially if you're using Flutter, adopt Dart on the server, because there are some real benefits like we mentioned. Code sharing, same tooling, same developer experience. You don't have to context switch. And overall, it's a good experience in my opinion. I really hate when I have to switch and work on TypeScript or some other language, because everything goes out the window. PHP. You have to like forget PHP, JavaScript. Yeah.
Hey, so, and then we do not mention PHP in these meetings and streams.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, I didn't know this was unallowed. Yeah, but I guess Dart. I spoke with some folks some weeks ago about like, well, why Dart in the backend? Why is that? Why is the thing? And I guess this is like the natural evolution of things, because I guess Flutter reached a point that's not like that thing for edgy people using like being early adopters anymore.
Are you saying it's mainstream?
It's not only mainstream. I'm gonna go worse than that. It's like enterprise, too. So people are trying to like data structures, keeping the same data structures between clients and backend, having entire systems written the same thing. It's very valuable. I guess that's the sole reason that made Node so popular in the beginning. It's because people just wanted to have the websites and the server have the same language. So this is like it has lots of value having this kind of feature. So Dart's in the backend.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone who attended the live stream. Obviously, you can always reach us on Twitter or join anyone's Twitch stream. Like I know Jochum's doing regular Twitch streams.
Regular.
Regular. Renan, I don't know. Are you streaming anything these days?
No, I don't stream.
You can just annoy him on Twitter.
I'm not a streamer. Or you can join like the Flame Discord if you have questions about Flame. So there's many ways to reach us if you have any questions. And like we mentioned at the beginning, we'll have at least 3 more episodes of this series as of now, and then maybe more depending on how it goes. So tune in for the next one.
Like and subscribe.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Cool. Well, I guess
don't forget to hit that bell. 70% of you are not subscribed.
It's like someone has practice.
Are we live?